Bienvenidos, señoras y señores, to another episode of the Bleed Lows podcast. Estamos en vivo aquí en la carne asada. So let's get some business out of the way. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. From baseball, golf, soccer, right up to the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. So every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. So when the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. So head to the website today and get in on the action. Use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online. The game starts here. Bienvenidos, sangrones. Here we go. We already got some people on there. The usuals are on here in the chat. Joining us, of course, are the regulars, Canelo and Carlos. Carlos the Gambler is here. I didn't realize that Carlos actually was involved in live wrestling. So if you guys are good, Carlos is going to fill us in on what happened with the live wrestling today. But before we get the show started with our topics, Babyface, we're going to be giving away some stuff tonight, aren't we? Or what's the plan?
Yeah, so we got Carlos has generously donated one of the replica Joe Kelly jerseys from about a week or two ago. So he has a size XL that we're going to give away, but there's only one catch. And I don't know if you guys are following our social media on X, whatever. We have a new partner that we've joined with. It's called Autograph. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Mookie Betts is also a partner with Autograph. So I was hearing Clint describing the story. So I guess we all work with Mookie Betts now. We're all co-workers with Mookie Betts, right? So he's a part of it. They're doing some giveaways. Basically, what Autograph is, it is a place for fandom, basically for fans. It's your one place to go to get all Dodgers news. So you sign up, you'll go on the app, you'll see posts from us, from other sites as well. Dodgers post anything Dodgers related content will show up in that app. And the cool thing is, if you're listening to podcasts, you're reading articles, you go and you check it out, you get points or coins. They call it coins. So once you accumulate those coins, Autograph will be doing different events. They have a Mookie Betts event coming up where you get to do a breakfast with Mookie Betts. They're giving away tickets to the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby. So basically, once you accumulate points, it might say, hey, to enter this, it's 100 coins. So basically you submit it, and now you're in that drawing for whatever that giveaway is. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing to do. And so what I need you guys to do is basically go ahead and sign up for that app. Use our code DB1 once you sign up. So I'm going to go ahead and post it again in the chat. So you'll see it on the chat. That is the link that you go to. Once you download it to your phone, go ahead and put in our code DB1. Once you've done that, I want you to come back here in the chat and say done. Let me know you guys have done it, that you've done it, and you've used our code, and we'll pick a winner from somebody randomly, from somebody that's done that tonight at the end of the show. So make sure you click on that link, download it, get it installed, use our code DB1, and you're entered to win the Joe Kelly replica jersey.
All right, you guys got that? Well, I'm going to send reminders throughout the show. So let's, before we get cracking here, a couple of things I'd want to remind you guys. So La Princesa de Picolandia is under the weather, so she's not going to be joining us. But also for those on the line, you guys know how, if you have any new people on the show, you guys know how this works. So pay attention to the people. The person who catches the most strays on the live tonight will win the Danny Duffy Award. So we have nominees throughout the show for the Danny Duffy Award. You are looking at, I believe I've won the award 3 times. So I know Gavin Lux gave me a bit of a run for my money. I know Chris Taylor, but hey, things might be turning for Chris Taylor. So maybe the Danny Duffy Award just has a positive effect on people. That being said, let's get to the topics. We want to hear from you. So the way you guys move to the front of the line, you guys all know this. If you guys drop super chats, your comment will move to the front of the line and we will address it. So first, we're going to start off with the Rockies series. The series just ended today. The Dodgers won 3 out of 4. So everything is fine. Everything is okay. I know last Sunday was very sad times. We just really got kicked in the balls last Sunday. But Canelo, I want to start with you. What did you see in this Rocky series?
You know, Sunday, Father's Day, I was going really swell, and then my wife is like, "What's happening? Like, why did you look at your phone?" I was like, "Well, Mookie Betts broke his hand," so that kind of just threw a damper in my entire day. My first Father's Day, and I said, "We're ending it on a sad note right now." I am a father, and Mookie Betts died for my sins. So, yeah. So pretty much after that happened, I feel like the Dodgers are such a complete team where I knew Mookie Betts being injured isn't going to be the end of the world. I'm not one of those fans that's going to go on social media and voice my concerns with the Dodgers team, because I know eventually, and like they showed this series, they were going to take care of business. And I know it was in Colorado, but this series against the Rockies, I think, said a lot in terms of especially the offense. I know we were going to always get offensive numbers inflated in Colorado due to the altitude. We've played there for, forever, and it's always a treat for the hitters to kind of, boost up their hitting stats. But seeing the way that, the team came back in that win, with the Teoscar Hernandez go-ahead home run, the Jason Hayward grand slam, I thought that was a really big win for the season. Just looking at the grand scheme of things, because you're coming off a bad start from your starting pitching. You're coming off injuries to Mookie Betts, Yamamoto. Morales aren't super high, and to take 3 out of 4 in this ballpark, to have Gavin Stone pitch the way he did today, and kind of the hitters, even the bottom of the lineup has been hitting extremely well. Chris Taylor, you mentioned, he's been hitting the ball. He had his first multi-hit game this year, so maybe things are turning around for him. Gavin Lux made a couple nice, defensive plays yesterday with a double play where he fielded a ground ball that I thought was hit the ground 8 feet up in the air. But I think things are going really high right now, and Shohei Ohtani is the leadoff hitter. I wrote about it a couple days ago where I was saying this guy, he's hit leadoff before around 70 games in his career, and he has a 300 batting average in that spot as well. And that's pretty much, the same slash line we've seen with Mookie Betts throughout his entire career. So I think the Dodgers are going to be fine right now. I think it's going to be really interesting over the next couple of weeks to see what they do. But I think we all understand now the Dodgers know how to play regular season ball games. They're going to be fine. It really just depends on how they attack the trade deadline, because I think that's where you start really getting into conversations where I feel like every fan has a different take. When you go on social media, one fan says one thing, another fan says another. We say one thing, another podcast says another. And I think that's probably different than we've seen in years past.
Babyface, either give me the Roddy Piper bagpipes or the Stone Cold intro music. Canelo is much more positive than I am. As I've said on this show, people refer to me as the Prince of Darkness. I like to say I am the reality check. In reality, guys, the Dodgers should have split that series. If you guys are honest up with yourselves and look deep down, I don't know if it was that one, but if you're honest with yourselves and you look deep down inside, we should have lost that great comeback game.
He didn't swing.
That was a swing.
He did not swing. I've argued with people. It is up to debate. There's no rules. Steve Webb wrote an article about it. It's up to
that's the biggest issue with that. There's no rule, like official, how far you got to go. It's all by
yes there is. If the bat crosses the plate, it is a swing.
There's also
that
with the wrist,
cross the plate
with your wrist. If your wrist like go a certain degree, I don't know. It's all weird.
The plane is what most umpires use, not everybody.
You guys are being homers, man. Just be honest. Look, they can't go back and change it. They won, but
what happened? What happened to the Dodgers in 21 against the Giants? What happened to the Dodgers in 21 against the Giants?
Dude, I'm talking about what happened this week. Well, we can't go back to 21.
Well, that's what we're saying. It's baseball. Things happen. In 21, if the Dodgers get that call, they don't got to play that stupid wild card game, right? Because they won 106 games that year.
But look, what I'm saying is this. We're talking about this series, and what we're doing is we're putting potpourri in the bathroom because Walker Buehler was not good in that start. Bobby Miller, look, I get it. This is, and we're going to get into it in further detail, But I'm just surprised at how positive Canelo is coming out of this. Yes, offensively, I think they were great, but I just feel we got a little bit of help. Ask the Rockies right fielder if we got help, or ask Bud Black. Carlos the Gambler, weigh in on this. I know Doom Sal is saying he didn't break his wrist. It wasn't a swing.
Real quick, we got Jose Ayala said he's done, so he's in. We need more people. Come on, more people to enter and get a chance to win. So we got one.
Carlos.
Okay, here we go. It's so funny because when we did the weekly rewind about it felt like the whole conversation was about the injuries, and we never spoke about how great Glasnow pitched on Sunday. So I'm going to make sure that we cover that. We cover that Paxton on Monday pitched lights out in Colorado.
Who pitched lights out on Monday, Carlos?
Paxton.
Your favorite pitcher?
That's right. The ace is back, baby. 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, and 8 strikeouts and 1 walk. So he's back. You know what? He's having a great season. For your 5th starter, he's the best 5th starter in all of MLB. I'll take that fight with anybody. So that game was great, and Dodgers didn't hit, I think, any home runs that game. So they win without hitting home runs, which is fantastic. They manufactured runs, and that's the way you should win sometimes. Okay, going to game 2 with one of the greatest comebacks in baseball and Dodger history. So fun watching the game and going back and forth with Roger. I know Cody's back east, so he fell asleep. He missed it. I send the YouTube video of that scene and fever pitch when he didn't go to the great comeback in the Red Sox. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but look it up. It's a fever pitch when I forget the actor's name right now, but he misses the great comeback at the Red Sox in the World Series. So it felt like that for Cody.
Jimmy Fallon.
There you go.
I'm gonna be honest.
So
I saw Buehler give up all those runs, and I said, "It's time to go to bed."
I was so close to turning it off too, Cody. Trust me. But my son and I, we got a 12-pack, and we at 8:05.
You guys are all a bunch of Howard Coles. You guys are all a bunch of Howard Coles, is what you guys are.
Oh man, we watched that to the end. It was fantastic. The grand slam, the 3-run home run, the controversial call. Look, what I will say is this: the manager and the right fielder should be upset at their bullpen for giving up the freaking lead.
Exactly.
They had a 5-run lead.
A grand slam and a 3-run home run. That's
okay.
2 things can be true at the same time.
Okay.
2 things can be true.
Hey, look.
Did he go? Don't. Did he go?
Yes, he went. But you know what I will say?
Thank you, Carlos.
But that's baseball for you. You get the call sometimes, and sometimes you don't. And then if you don't get the call and you do something with that call, you make something happen like Teoscar did, then hats off to you. And Teoscar took the next pitch and send that crap to right the bullpen in right field. So hats off. We got it. We got the call. And you're right. I don't want to go back to San Francisco because I remember that game vividly when we didn't get that call and it was so upsetting. But it happens. It happens. It's going to happen to us probably later on this season. We'll be on the other coin and we'll be upset. But nevertheless, you get the bullpen. Colorado's bullpen gave up 5 runs. That's what they should be upset about that. And the Dodgers, they came back. They fought back. I think we messaged Roger. It was Roger and I going back and forth. And as soon as Miggy got the hit, well, I'm like, okay, we're going to win. Because when Miggy gets a hit, we know we win, right? He's 21-0 when he gets a hit. So that happened, and then the rest is history. And so it was fantastic. I think I don't disagree with you. Buehler looks awful. I think he hit the IL, right? Because he got hit in the hip. Miller, you know what? He did. It wasn't that bad. He got the 2 outs in the first inning. Unfortunately, he couldn't get that 3rd out. Gets a single, gets a walk, home run. Fine. In the other inning, when he gives up all the runs, it was an error by Biggio. And then that play in center field. Come on, you guys. Poggett should have caught that ball. He should have caught that ball. That was not. He should have caught that ball. To me, that should have been an error. They give him a double.
All right, let me follow up on that play, Carlos. Do you think he saw Chris Taylor out of the corner of his eye and got a little nervous? Because it seemed, I don't know what you guys saw on that play. I feel like Pages kind of slowed down once he got towards that ball.
I agree. He did slow down. And that's why I'm saying he should have caught the ball. He should have just ran through that. I mean, look, I know he doesn't want to get hurt, and I don't want to see him get hurt. He's having a good season for a rookie season, but that ball has to be caught in the major leagues, and that made a difference to Miller, and that play at third base with Biggio. That's huge. That's huge. And so some of those runs came. I think they all were earned runs. I think the only one that got the unearned run was the relief pitcher who came in. So overall, Miller did better than. And you know what else? He should have been pulled out in the sixth. And I know his pitch count was low. It was low. I get it, but he just came back and he's just pitching in Colorado. And I had said it, I think, on the weekly rewind. I said, look, let this guy go 5 innings, 3 to 4 runs. He's set, man. But you know what? Roberts pushed it. And once again, I don't want to, it's hard to argue those points, because then if something would have happened in the 7th, the fans would have said, oh, why'd they take out Miller in the 7th? He only had 66 pitches or whatever it was. But you know what? Miller, I thought, did way better than I expected. And I think I'm sure if you ask him, he'll tell you the same thing too. So at Dodger Stadium, hopefully his next start will be at Dodger Stadium and he'll do better. I think it's not. I think it's probably in Chicago. So, and then today's game, you know what? Who pitched today? I already forgot.
Kevin Stone.
Stone pitched well too until the last inning, and he just had those 2 walks. I mean, we all know walks will kill you. Walks will eventually come back to bite you in the ass, and that's exactly what happened to Stone today. Unfortunately, you know, that's if he hadn't walked those guys, made them put the ball in play, it's a different outcome. But overall, he pitched well. Like I said, overall the pitching wasn't that bad. Buehler is definitely a big question mark. I think we had a discussion about this last week. Buehler's my guy that's out of the rotation. I mean, he should go to the bullpen until he works something out. He should be like long relief, when the game is like, and the game's lost, and you kind of bring him in. The offense, if you want to go to the offense, we had a lot of guys. We also mentioned this on the weekly rewind. Colorado's a place to get hot. And who got hot? Hayward was 500 in Colorado. Taylor hit 500. Vargas hit 500. Ohtani was hot. He hit 444, 8 for 18 with 2 home runs. Freeman stayed hot at 333, 5 for 15. And Teoscar, he picked it up. He was 6 for 19. So, the guys who didn't do well, who unfortunately couldn't pick it up, was Smith. And I know that we can say that Smith could have had like 5 home runs in that game because everything was in the warning track. But, he only got 2 hits and 14 at-bats, and he's in a little slump. And then the guy that, I don't want to, I'm not trying to beat players down, but Biggio, man, I don't know, man, that project, I'd say move on to the next project, because he's not cutting it, hitting or defense. He's just, it's that. I don't know. I would do something with that player.
And Carlos gets his flowers because he called the Buehler. It was on the rewind, right, Carlos? That asked you when the rotation kind of gets settled in, who's going out, and he said Walker Buehler. So good job.
Yeah. Way to go out on a stretch there, Carlos the gambler.
The
guy who's pitching the worst. The guy who's pitching the worst is your pick to. Oh, we got to get him out of there.
You know what else was my pick? Was I told Roger, Ohtani hits a 475-foot bomb plus, and he hit 476. So he's clutch. He's clutch, is what you're saying. You know what? Hey, the stats don't lie. This guy hits great when he's leadoff, and he's leading off any inning. He's batting 455. When nobody's on, he's batting 333. The guy plays way better with less pressure on, and he's great leadoff. When Betts comes back,
were you thinking the same thing in the 8th inning of that game that they lost?
Yeah, don't come up to bat. Get somebody else.
Update real quick. Update on the giveaway. We got Adrian Rodriguez said he's in as well. So that's 2.
Remind everybody about this.
So anybody that's just joining, we're doing a giveaway for a replica Joe Kelly 99 jersey given away a couple weeks ago at Dodger Stadium. So go to this link. I just posted it in the chat. Go ahead and sign up. It's called for it's an app called Autograph. Basically, it's going to give you all Dodgers content in their news, post, podcast, everything all in one app, and you get a chance to win meet and greets, different giveaways they do, Kershaw jersey stuff. I know they were doing that a couple weeks ago. But go ahead and sign up. Use our code DB1. And for tonight, you sign up, use our code DB1, come back to the chat and post, I signed up. You're in the drawing for later on tonight before we end the show.
Look, the Bobby Miller, I'm not worried about Bobby Miller. It was his first start back. He was in Colorado. He made a mistake and gave up 3 runs on a fastball right down the middle. If he makes a better pitch that way, or he finds some other way, maybe his line doesn't look like he gives up 5 runs. The fact that he went into the 6th inning, that's a tribute to the fact that you got no length from Buehler the day before. I mean, we have to take into account that what Paxton did on Monday, not only, I think James Paxton must have pictures of everyone else in the Dodgers clubhouse because he's the only Dodger pitcher that gets run support. Like Tyler Glass now must be like having words with Paxton to be like, what the hell, man? But the fact that they could not get length and the way things are lining up here, especially looks like Landon Knack is officially going to get the start on Friday. Look, this bullpen, especially at Coors, is going to get a workout. So I thought it was huge that Miller pitched into the 6th inning. So I think Miller, we still got to see what he's like, and I'd like to see him when he pitches at a stadium other than Coors Field. But the Walker Buehler thing, Canelo, I want to hear from you. Like, realistically, this is a guy, and no one, and correct me if I'm wrong, who that has had 2 Tommy Johns has come back, and I'm not even saying has returned to form, but has been decent. Is there someone like that? And like, realistically, I know he's getting a lot, he's catching a lot of strays, but realistically, even if he goes down and he goes to the minors or he works on something, what can we expect? Like, for me, what was troubling in that Colorado game, it looked like he was just lobbing it over the plate. Am I wrong there?
No, it was his worst start for a reason, whether you're looking at the stat line. Looking at him, his velocity's still there. He still has an uptick. He was averaging, 95 miles per hour this season. We've seen him get upwards to 98 miles per hour. But it's something that I've been said, and just there's more to baseball and watching it and seeing that something's off. And I just thought his fastball looked completely flat. And it got to the point where, all the catchers, whether it was Smith and Barnes, they were switching up his pitch mix. They were making sure that he wasn't throwing his fastball at all. And when you're pitching, behind, or when you're pitching backwards to hitters, and then they wait for that fastball, the Rockies, no matter what stadium you're at, if it's Coors, Dodger Stadium, or whatever, they're going to be able to hit a fastball no matter how fast it's coming, especially if it looks as flat as his did. In terms of, is there a pitcher that has come back from 2 Tommy John surgeries? There's not many. The only one I could think of is the name I've mentioned multiple times on this show, and that's former Dodger Nathan Eovaldi. He got 2 Tommy John surgeries, ended up having a good career. He ended up winning 2 World Series after those surgeries and was a big part in both of them. So, can it be done? Can you come back from that? When you look at Buehler, when you look at his stat line, I don't know if the Dodgers can afford to take the risk on him coming back like that this season, especially that he's a free agent. And I thought David Vassay brought up a great point on Dodger Talk where he kind of views Buehler as not untouchable. Like, if, say, he's a throw-in into a trade, the Dodgers could pull the trigger on it because they don't have they have the luxury of having multiple options. Like, right from the start after that, I kind of figured they were going to put him on the IL, and I said Landon Knack would give the Dodgers better innings right now. Some of these guys in the bullpen, if you want to get Ryan Yarbrough a start, I would feel more confident him giving you a better outing than Buehler would at that time. And I kind of wrote in my article the other day, kind of going over, Walker Buehler's first 8 starts. I'm starting to get the vibe they may Noah Syndergaard him. If he comes back from his IL stint and he is still struggling, the Dodgers aren't going to option him down to the minors. They're not going to IL him for the rest of the year. They're going to try to just move on from him, and they have the luxury to do that because he is a free agent next year. And if you don't have, if you're not going to re-sign him and you don't have a plan on giving him an extension midseason, then why is he on the roster right now? They can't afford to just keep throwing guys out there and hope that they get better, especially when we have the injuries piling up now. If there's a trade to get anything of value, you got to do it. Noah Syndergaard, they got Ahmed Rosario last year for him, and he put up, he gave the Dodgers something they needed, which was depth in the infield position and the ability to hit left-handed pitching. and the Dodgers could realistically do that. Someone may take a flyer on Buehler, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think the Dodgers, like Vassay said, have to consider like all of their options. But as a fan and someone who grew up, watching Walker Buehler when I was in high school, kind of like all the way up to now, it is sad to see him struggle as much as he is, but it just looked like a guy that was defeated out there, and baseball is such a mental game, and I don't really know if he can physically and mentally come back from 2 Tommy John surgeries, at least not in a Dodgers uniform.
For those of you guys mentioning Eovaldi, do we know how long it took Eovaldi from that second Tommy John to he looked good in 2018. I at least in that World Series against the Dodgers, I thought he looked good. Does anybody know off the top of their head how long it had been since his second Tommy John to that appearance?
I think he missed all of 2017. I think it was 2016 he had to get the surgery.
So it was fairly quickly then.
Yeah. So and then 2018 he came back, but it was in the bullpen. And then Eovaldi didn't really start, being his old self, like giving the Red Sox innings until 2019, and then the COVID year, and then in 2021 he ends up giving them pretty good innings for that Red Sox team as well. So he's like the only guy I can think of that can, like, off the top of my head, that came back from 2 surgeries. The other guy that I know that's kind of popular is Clevenger, from the Padres and the Guardians, but you don't hear his name anymore either. So it's tough to overcome.
I got Denny marked down, Denny too. So Denny Cortez. So
all right, remind everybody again.
Hit that link. Scroll up, you'll see a link. Well, I'll just put it here.
All right, so Babyface is, for those of you who are just joining, if you join on Autograph and you use the code that Babyface is going to put on there, we are giving away a Joe Kelly replica jersey tonight. So for those of you who aren't on Autograph, this is your opportunity to join Autograph and win something. Look, all I'm just saying is maybe we just need to, I feel like we went into this with realistic expectations about Walker. I think we just need to be reminded once again, realistically. And let's be honest, if things are, look, you're going to need at most maybe 4 starters going into the playoffs. And I don't know, even if he's pitching well, if he's in that 4. I know the Yamamoto, and we're going to get into that. I know the Yamamoto injury changes a lot of things. But before we segue into that, I do want to mention real quick, because on Saturday is going to be the debut of the City Connect jerseys. And Carlos the Gambler, I know you already have your City Connect jersey. You're ready for the Pop-Tart, for the DirecTV. Like, how many of them did you get a jersey, or did you get a full jersey?
Man, I don't get neither. Yeah, so I like I told you guys, I'm so glad I'm not a jersey kind of guy, so I won't be buying any of those. And to me, I did see the thing where it's what's that, confetti candy, I guess, confetti with DirecTV, and then you get the jersey. It reminds me of like Little Debbie cakes is what it reminds me of. I did see how they broke down like what everything meant, the little spectacles or their stars, I guess, supposedly. And that it's for the sections, like, the colors of each section of the stadium. But, like I said, I'm not a big jersey guy. I'm not buying one. So might get a shirt. I like, what, I do like the bobblehead with Jason Hayward wearing the City Connect. I thought that was okay. You don't see the little spectacles too much. So, unfortunately it's not my thing. So.
Hey, Babyface, come in here, because I know you're very, very sensitive when it comes to jerseys. How much do you hate these?
I don't like the idea of the City Connect, like you guys are talking about. I mean, they are what they are. I mean, I wouldn't buy them. There was one at the Quakes game last night, though. Somebody actually had one, and I think Adrian got a picture of it. And he held it up, and you can you don't see those little confetti, I guess, as much. I think that's the biggest issue with those is probably that, and I just really don't like that Los Angeles font in the front. I think they should have went maybe with like Dodgers or something like that. But overall, I'm okay with the color of it. But yeah, I think they missed completely on it. And I think too, their backstory is like, oh, it's about dreamers and this and that. I think that came after. It wasn't what they went into it. It's kind of like they came out like, oh, we got to come up with something to tie it into. Because there's no tie into LA with City of Dreamers, right? I mean, that could be anywhere, right? So there's no. I think they thought about that after the fact. Like, okay, we got to figure something out. So, but yeah, they completely missed on it again for the second time.
Canelo?
I mean, look, we talked about it when they were leaked, and then seeing it wherever you saw it. I saw it on Reddit. People were seeing it, across the seas, like at stores that were being sold already. And I knew the leaks were legit just because of who was publishing on the leaks. If it ends up on UniWatch, it's real. That's all I want to tell you guys. So once it was on there, I pretty much knew. Look, I am a jersey guy, unlike Carlos. I got like 8 or 9 jerseys that are hanging about back right there. I was considering buying one, even with all the stuff that we dislike, just because I'm just like one of those types of collectors with it. But then I saw the back of the jerseys, and I immediately said, I am not buying this. The jerseys themselves, like in terms of like, if you're just saying just a jersey, I think in person in high definition photos, they do look a little bit better. I could get away with a little bit of it. I like that the pants match the jersey. I know Roger's a big thing, like the pants should match the jersey. I think that matches well. But the nameplate on the back, the number almost on the shoulder, it just looks so off. And why is Ohtani's number the only one that got like the full number in there? Everyone else is like, it's like cut off halfway down. I don't understand the 0 in front of single digit numbers like Freddie Freeman wearing 05. I was like, is this football? I have no idea what I was looking at. So I think it's a miss. It's a miss for not only, the Dodgers, it's a miss for baseball, it's a miss for Nike, because I don't think many people are going to be buying these jerseys. And, I was next to a city that introduced their City Connect, and that's the Phillies. And, that was pretty dismissive, but I've seen so many fans, so many of my friends, they actually bought those jerseys, and I have no faith that the Dodgers and their fans are going to be buying these jerseys, because if you had to choose between, a Dodgers, I'll even say a Dodgers gray, like a road gray, you're probably going to pick that one instead. So I don't know. I feel like the City Connect is going to probably be discontinued in a year or two, especially now that the Dodgers are the first one to get 2. The Yankees don't want one. Oakland, the A's, they aren't going to get one. So I feel like they just kind of got to.
They don't have a city.
That's the thing. So they're definitely not going to get one, and they're not going to get one in a couple of years either. So I just feel like you have to take a step back if you're Nike. I was on the fence when Nike purchased, the rights to, to produce these jerseys. But yeah, they kind of dropped the ball, which is kind of disappointing, because if you watch, College World Series is going on right now. If you look at their Nike uniforms and, what some of these colleges and universities do, they actually look really nice. Some schools like, LSU, Vanderbilt, like they have some really, really nice uniforms. And I know Roger brought up, the one, like Vanderbilt's alternate uniform. That would have made sense with, the vibe they were kind of going with here, because it's not like a white, it's more of like an off-white tan. So, but yeah, I definitely don't like these jerseys though.
And why is Ohtani always wearing the wrong belt?
Personal preference.
I don't know if you realize this, but he can do whatever he wants. No one is going to step up to Ohtani.
I guess
no one's going to challenge him.
I guess so. I mean, there must be something with that belt, because he loves that belt. He always wears that belt. So, but I mean,
go ahead, Roger.
I mean, the numbers up on top here. I don't know, that doesn't work. You guys like the hats? That's the only people have been saying, like, maybe the only thing they like is the hats. You guys like the hats?
I don't like the logo, so yeah.
I don't like any of this. I don't like any of this. That hat reminds me too much of Disney. As someone in the chat said, this doesn't say this. I look at this, and this does not tell the story of Los Angeles to me. Dave Luna, I think, made a very interesting point here. I think it's unfortunate that the team has moved away from Hispanic ties with these City Connects. LA is more than just pretty people and Hollywood. I think Canelo is right in the sense that this has officially killed the City Connect. And for me, I know I'm going to piss people off here, so hit the stone cold again for me. But this is a difference between the Yankees and the Dodgers. The fact that the Yankees had the balls to tell Nike and tell Major League Baseball, we don't want a jersey, we don't want a City Connect because our jersey is iconic. Looking at it, the Dodgers should have done the same thing, because I get it that maybe the Yankees uniform is more iconic than the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are really up there, man. That is a close second to that. It's the same reason why that year that they played in Players Weekend, you had the Yankees and the Dodgers in these white and black jerseys, where you're like, dude, you have two of the most iconic uniforms in all of sports, and you decide to do this. Yeah, I'm done. I am absolutely done with City Connect. I don't want to see them anymore. I mean, what the Gemelos did, that was blah. It seems like everything is blah to me. Look, I hate to say this too. The Angels is better, at least thematically. The Angels City Connect
is very underrated. I thought the Angels had the best one. I've talked to my friends.
I like the Marlins. I like the Marlins only because they're paying homage to that Cuban baseball team, which is something I wish the Dodgers would have done and done with the Choriceros. That to me at least makes more sense, because it is paying homage to Los Angeles. That was a baseball team that was here before the Dodgers came. Carlos the Gambler, I heard this a lot. A lot of people like that powder blue with Brooklyn. I kept seeing the picture of Kershaw and Kemp and Ether, and it's just like, okay, that's great, dude, but it says Brooklyn across. Like, you can't wear that as a City Connect. I'm done with it. They killed it for me. They killed it. Carlos, what do you think about this?
You know what? Listening to you guys and your passion behind the jersey, it makes me really, starting to appreciate how you guys feel. I definitely second what you're saying about, why don't you just stay real to your jersey? Like the Yankees. The Yankees said no. Dodgers should have done the same thing too. And the Dodgers need to embrace where Dodgers are from. Which is, it is a Hispanic community. And if you go back to Chavez Ravine and all that history with that whole, obviously, what I'm talking about, the Chavez Ravine and how they take over the lands, those cities, and they destroy that and build Dodger Stadium. Well, give homage to those people too, or something like that. I second that. Get rid of it, man. No more City Connect. Just play Dodger white jerseys and just the way it is, and move on from that.
Absolutely. All right. So, Babyface, I want to go to you because you got to see Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw had his first rehab assignment down in Rancho, and you were down there in person, in vivo. I think there was probably more press there than there were people in the stands. Is that correct? I think you guys were all in the dugout. How was that experience like?
Well, actually, the game was sold out. So, it was packed with fans. But yeah, there was a lot of press. People, I've gone there to cover other, rehab starts, and, there'll be nobody there, like one or two. NBC showed up, Channel 5 showed up, Orange County Register showed up, like everybody was there. So, but yeah, it was good. It was good to see Kershaw back on the mound. Since last time we saw him on the mound was that game in the NLDS, right? And the way that ended, he went out there 3 innings, 1 run, I think had 5 strikeouts. He touched 90. So, it's looking like, he's, I'd say 4 weeks, 5 weeks max, and he's going to be back in that rotation. And, seeing Kershaw, I have confidence that he can do. I know we've discussed this. I have confidence that he can do something in the postseason. He can give him something.
Oh boy, here we go.
I think he can. If he goes out and pitches like that, I don't think he's gonna. If he does start, if he gives them 5 innings, they're gonna take that.
Unfortunately,
ay Dios mío, Canelo, come in here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is his first start. Now I'm sure they're gonna progress him. Maybe another start in Rancho. Maybe they'll put him up in AAA and stuff like that. But he looked good, And the name of the game is getting guys out, right? So we've seen guys go down there, even single A, and they've gotten lit up. So At least he's
Look,
progressing.
I'm going to allow this. I'm going to let everyone know you're caught up in the moment. You got to see him up front. Yeah, it's been a while since you see him. I'm going to allow you to have more time pass. I'm not going to let you make that prediction of him in the postseason because I know there are a few people that are going to have a conniption if he is in the part of the starting rotation, because if he's in the starting rotation in the postseason, I think something has gone horribly wrong for the Dodgers when it comes to their pitching staff. Anybody else want to jump on this and tell me I'm a loser, I'm a hater?
Let me defend Roger a little bit. Okay. So do I see him in the postseason? No. Do I see him in the postseason? Yes, but not in the same way we saw him last year. He's not going to be game 1 starter. He's not even going to be game 2 starter, and he might not even pitch in the first series. When we win the first series and we go to a 7-game series, and the Dodgers are up 2-3-0, yeah, then he comes in, pitches game number 4 or something like that, where there's not so much pressure, and you could just get hopefully 3-4 innings from him, let the guys rest that are going to pitch the next winning game and the following series. So I see him in that type of situation. I don't see him. He's not Kershaw of old. He's not going to be playing, like when we played the St. Louis Cardinals and he got killed. No, we're not. He's not there anymore. He's going to be your 4th starter, and that's it. But yeah, it's going to be Glass now is going to be number 1. I mean, who knows? Yamamoto's a question mark. So I think Stone goes number 2. And as of right now, I mean, it's Miller and Paxton's a toss-up for game 3. So that's how I see it. So I'll defend Roger on that.
I mean, exactly. I mean, right now, you got Glass now, right? You got Bobby Miller, and remains to be seen how Bobby Miller is going to continue the rest of the year. Gavin Stone. Yamamoto's a big question mark. We don't know if Yamamoto's back. So Paxton, I told you guys, I think Paxton right now, the way he's pitching, I would take him over Walker Buehler, right? We don't even Walker. I personally think Walker Buehler is not coming back. If he does come back, it's going to be like in September. They're going to give him a couple of starts here and there in September, or like Cody said, if he's not moved. Who else you got left?
Canelo, you're quiet, man. You're supposed to be the voice of reason on this show. Why am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. I mean, Kershaw, like I said, he is my favorite player. I grew up watching him. I idolize him, but I'm still a realist here, and I feel like if he is in the starting rotation, something happened, and we're already starting to see the foundation with that, with Yamamoto being injured. And I've already shared my thoughts on social media. Guys, I'm paying gloom here. I'm going joining the Juan on the dark side. I don't think he's coming back. So that's one guy down. Glass, now we've already known he's had some injury issues in the past. He's creeping up on his career high in innings pitched. They have to be wary of that. Buehler, we already know he's kind of a mess right now. I'm also all along the lines as Roger. Maybe not September, but hopefully they can get, Buehler back in August if he's even still on the team. The Dodgers, I think they have to go out and get some starting pitching, and that's something we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But Kershaw, looking at what we got, the film, it's all up on our, social media page. The interview, is on the Bleed Low YouTube channel.
Let me get the strikeout up.
Oh, get the strikeout. Let's see it. Let's see the guy. Let's see Kershaw.
Hey, Roger, how old was that guy that he struck out? Do we know?
Probably
he was at all
19.
just looking in the pitch. But Kershaw, I think from the things that I saw, I thought he did look a little bit more in shape. And typically that happens when you go into a rehab, especially after a surgery, because you have to go on a rigorous routine. You have to, you're not only working, his shoulder, but you're also kind of working on your mechanics. So you kind of want, your body from head to toe to be like in shape, like in good baseball shape. And Kershaw isn't some 20-year-old pitcher anymore. He's in his mid to late 30s, approaching that 40 mark in a couple of years. So he has to do everything possible to stay as healthy as he can while being a full-time dad and a full-time husband at home. So for him to be back as fast as he is now, where, like Roger said, we're tracking maybe 4 or 5 weeks away, that's a plus for the Dodgers in terms of, their rotation depth for the rest of the regular season. However, I'm going to go with Carlos's point. If Kershaw's going to be starting games, it's going to be in the latter half of the series more than likely, because I do anticipate the Dodgers making some moves. I do anticipate the Dodgers just planning for Kershaw to be maybe their tool on the back burner of their rotation. But, I'm excited to see Kershaw, continue to, to work up these next couple of weeks. I know his velocity isn't high right now. They said he averaged around 88 to 89 miles per hour. That's not going to get it done at the big league level. He topped out at 90. That's still kind of not going to get it done at the big league level. So I think in order for Kershaw to be good, he has to hit 92 or 93 miles per hour. But I just don't really know if he has that in him anymore. So, but I'll be optimistic. I think he'll give the Dodgers some really good innings in the regular season. But come postseason, I do not want to see him starting meaningful games. Let him ride.
It is interesting though. I don't know if you guys caught the after the game when he spoke. He spoke about that. Like he said he doesn't even know if he's gonna make it back. Like he's talking about that. He doesn't know. He's working on it, but he doesn't even know if he's gonna get back there to where he's trying to get. So, there's still a lot of question marks, obviously, but what we saw yesterday is definitely a good start.
Wow. I look, there's Bet Online, guys. I mean, you have him in the playoff rotation. Carlos does, but yet the guy just said he doesn't even know if he's going to be able to make it back. I am fascinated to see how this plays out, because if he does pitch well in the regular season and the Dodgers,
they're going to give him a start.
Like, how are they going to have, because if you read the book, the Andy McCullough book out there, I feel like Kershaw has a very strained relationship with the Dodgers. And somehow, if this conversation about who's going to pitch in the postseason goes left, this very easily, I think, could be Kershaw's last season with the Dodgers. So I am fascinated to see how this is going to play out. But let's get into this right now in terms of the injuries and the deadline. I think I think Canelo is very right, because right now you have Glasnow. If Yamamoto doesn't come back, I think Gavin Stone is probably their number 2. Who knows what Bobby Miller's going to look like in the next few starts? But I'm throwing out those 3 pitchers. Are you guys confident that that's going to match up with Ranger Suarez? It's going to match up with Wheeler. It's going to match up with those horses that the Phillies have. Are you guys confident? Or they have to go out there and get a top line pitcher because of the fact that there are so many question marks? Carlos, the gambler, you're a gambling man. Are you going to ride with Glasnow, Stone, Miller, Kershaw combination against the Phillies horses?
It comes down to when the Dodgers are when they start being transparent and let us really know about Yamamoto. If he's really going to be out for the season, then and Buehler says, I don't want to pitch anymore. I'm like the worst player on the team and I just can't do this anymore. And Kershaw is also saying the same thing. I didn't know that he had mentioned that after the game, that he just doesn't have it to pitch the MLB. Then of course we need a trade. We need like a big trade. We need like we need.
Oh my God, we didn't get it.
Carlos, where are you, man? All right, we lost Carlos.
We lost Carlos.
All right, let's go to Canelo. I mean, look, you're out there on the East Coast. You see those Phillies guys. I mean, in a short series, well, hopefully you're not going to get them in a short series, but I that matchup makes me very, very nervous.
Yeah. Look, I'll put it out right here. The Phillies are the most complete team in baseball. They, from 1 through 9 on their hitters, they are good. They're getting Trey Turner back. That's their, full-time shortstop back in the lineup. And their starting rotation is up there, kind of with, the Seattle Mariners in terms of depth. If you even get them in the NLDS, you get them in the NLCS, like it's going to be big trouble for the Dodgers, and I would find it hard for them to come back in a series as the teams are built right now. I think the Dodgers would still put up a fight. I could still see Glasnow or, some of our pretty much Glasnow's the only one that I think would be built for the postseason. And if you look at his track record, it hasn't been good in the postseason. So, it's really up in the air right now, which is where, in terms of the trade deadline, I think the Dodgers need to add at least one or two starters, whether you get an innings eater with a decent ERA or you get a frontline starter. Garrett Crochet, I know he hasn't been a full-time starter, but that dude is, unbelievable right now. He's a left-handed pitcher that is maxing out. He's in the 100th percentile in fastball velocity. This guy, if you can get him, pull him off, put him in the rotation as your number 2 or number 3 starter, I think the Dodgers would be set, because I also think they lack.
Let me piggyback on that real quick, Canelo. Crochet, the White Sox have him on an innings limit. If someone trades for him, are they going to go away from that innings limit?
I think if it's a team like the Dodgers, no. I think the Dodgers would be cautiously optimistic. It is his first year in the rotation. He was in the bullpen his previous, couple years. I believe he's like 30 or 31 years old. He's been around in the show for a while. So I think the Dodgers would be cautious with him, like they are with every single arm. But if they can get the best baseball out of him in October, I think that's all they'll care about. Another guy that I think is in the same division that the Dodgers should take a flyer on is Jack Flaherty. If the Tigers are not going to be in contention, they got this guy on a 1-year deal. Most of the time with those 1-year deals, you try to trade him and get the most value for him. And Flaherty, he has a 3.01 ERA. He seems to be very similar to his 2019 self. But the thing is a lot of teams are going to be very interested in his services. What entices me about him is the same thing that entices me about Glasnow when he was on the trade block. And that's just because he's just a pitcher that can just pump fastballs right by you. And I feel like that's something the Dodgers have lacked the past couple seasons. And I feel like if you can get 2 or 3 frontline starters that are throwing, gas, that goes a long way in October. And I think that's the teams that have been going far in the postseason, like the Phillies in the National League. They just have those arms in their bullpen and their starting rotation that can gas up pretty much any hitter. And I think the Dodgers, they need to trade for a shortstop. I know Bo Bichette's a very popular name. I would be kind of shocked if they could pull it off, because I feel like the Blue Jays may play it safe, keep all their cards, and then try again next year. If it doesn't work, then trade them, trade him in the midseason next year, or trade him in the winter if they realize they're not going to get this guy to an extension. But I think the injury to Betts, even though the Dodgers brass have not made that known, I think they were already trying to kind of gauge the shortstop market, who they were going to get. And I feel like they need to go after the big fish in this situation, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm done with the Mookie Betts playing shortstop experiment. Miguel Rojas, I feel like he'll hold it down, but I think we're going to start seeing some reality kick in when he starts becoming an everyday guy again and his stat line starts to dip. He's also up there in his 30s. I don't think he has the legs to play it every single day. He was already feeling a little bit of a leg injury being a utility role. And Gavin Lux, for as much as I love him, as a player and a person, I just don't know if he also has the ability to be an everyday starter either. So I feel like the Dodgers need to upgrade somewhere in their middle infield. So they have a lot of stuff to do this trade deadline, which is kind of confusing, because when we went into this season, we kind of thought there was virtually no holes in the team except maybe like 1 or 2 players. But now it seems like, the ship's starting to, get a lot of holes, and we're starting to sink a little bit as we get to the midway point.
We got a super chat, so I wanna bring it up. The patron saint of the Bleed Lows podcast, Jose Ayala, the Prince of Darkness, is an understatement. Jose, I am the Prince of Darkness only because I am your reality check, man. Look, all I am saying is these injuries have really put a wrench into the Dodgers' plans, because I know everybody thinks the Dodgers have this great farm system and they can get whoever they want as long as Andrew Friedman is willing to pony up. I contest that because I feel like the Orioles have a great farm system, and the Orioles have the ability to go and make a trade with their farm system. And I think the Dodgers, when it comes to making a deal, if they're going to battle against the Orioles to make it, I think they lose in that farm system. You also have Preller with the show pods, who has already told you he doesn't care about the farm system and is willing to overpay. And look, yes, they're 10 games behind, but at this point, they're just trying to get into the tournament. So right now, the Dodgers have this time, a little over a month, to figure out what holes they have, what holes they've identified and how they're going to address them. What are they going to do with second base? Are they going to continue? We haven't talked about this, but third base, I know, is now, since Muncy went out, the production in third base has become a big problem. And no one here thought Biggio was the answer to that. But so do we need a second baseman? Do we need a third baseman? As Canelo said, we need a shortstop. What are we going to do in the outfield? That's it? We're going with Bajes. We're going with the platoon in right field, and we're going to deal with that in left field. Like, this is what I'm saying. It seems like there are a lot of holes, and now on top of it, the starting pitching is starting to go down. What is the priority? Is it a pitcher? What spot? I just think maybe the Dodgers have too many holes, and they don't have enough people to trade to plug all these holes and still compete with a Phillies team that has Ranger Suarez having a career year, that has Zach Wheeler, and that has Aaron Nola. And you're going to face those guys 2 times in a series?
I think the Dodgers outfield is fine. Carlos pointed out earlier, Pages patrolling center. He kind of gave up on that ball in Colorado. He's had, a couple sliding miscues, but I think overall Pages is a decent, center fielder. Obviously, I think James Outman's a little bit better, but I don't know when we're even going to see James Outman, if he even gets recalled at all, or if he's involved in some sort of trade. I know a lot of fans are kind of, they're on the, Luis Robert Jr. train, but I just kind of never really was on that plan because, one, you hear about the, the return package that the White Sox are, they want it to be similar to the Juan Soto deal. And I just don't think the Dodgers farm system is deep enough to get a deal like that done if that's really what they're asking for. I think the Dodgers have a lot of role players, but they don't have a lot of front end talent in their minor league system right now. And the players that are the frontline talent, like Jose DePaula, they're just too young and they don't have enough minor league experience to really, entice some of these other teams. They can entice us as fans because I know a lot of fans hold DePaula, like dear and near to their heart. But, in terms of, on a trade market, many of these other, GMs aren't moved right now. So I think the Dodgers really, to put it simply, I think the Dodgers just need to trade for an infielder, and I think they just need a starting pitcher. If they want to get some bullpen help, to even things out that way as well, that's fine. Because I feel like once, guys come back from injury, like we know Mookie Betts is going to come back. Is it going to be as a second baseman or is it going to be as a right fielder? I know we've talked about it. Betts seems very adamant that he doesn't want to go back into the outfield. And, as much as we like to say this is Ohtani's team, it's very much as well as Betts' team as well. So it's kind of like if he says he doesn't want to go back out there, I don't think the Dodgers as an organization are going to want to piss off, their other multi-million superstars. So maybe you get an outfielder. I think they try to get a shortstop or a second baseman. You got to expect Matt Muncy's going to come back, but that's a big if right there. But it does show that, as much money as this team spent in the offseason, as much work as that they did do, it can quickly fall apart with a couple down years and a couple injuries. And, we're acting like it's the end of the world because we know we're looking towards October. This team is still on pace to win over 100 games. They have the largest division lead in baseball right now at 9 games. And they're pretty much a shoo-in to make the postseason. And I really think if you make the postseason, I mean, it's all hands on deck at this point, just with the amount of teams that are in there. Hopefully the Dodgers get, a couple clutch players because I really think that's the one thing they need is just that X factor.
Babyface, what trades are they making?
Update on Carlos. I don't think he paid his one type of bill, and he can't get back on
his internet.
Yeah, so he's gone for the night. So, and an update too. We still need we need more people to enter our contest. We've got a couple more minutes, so go here, use code DB1, and get entered, and let me know that you've signed up. That way we can give away this jersey. But as far as trades, I always think it's going to be really hard for the Dodgers to make a trade because it seems always at this time there's always like a huge need. Like, oh, shortstop goes down. Oh, we need a shortstop. So all these other teams know, like, oh, you really need this guy, right? You really need this guy. So it's going to make it a lot worse. And like you're saying, there isn't a lot of talent that they can pick. I mean, they have a lot of talent in the farm system, but those high end guys, right? I mean, you got a couple guys down in Rancho, but are other teams willing to give those guys? I mean, yeah, you can probably package up. There's some guys on the roster now that you can probably move. You know, I'm sure people are probably asking for Landon Nash. I'm sure probably people are asking for Baez. So some of those guys, do you want to move some of those guys? But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be tough to get one of those high-end guys. You have to go for a Crochet. I mean, who else is on the starting pitcher market that's available?
You mean you got Flaherty? I feel like if the Blue Jays are open for business, Kikuchi is a solid option there as well.
I've heard the Marlins, right?
Replace one Japanese starter with another. I mean, I don't know what the Dodgers would do with that one. It would make sense. I think enticing for that is that Kikuchi is left-handed, which I think is a big thing the Dodgers lack. I know Kershaw's coming back, but to have a left-handed starter that's, healthy and has shown good numbers, that's why Crochet really entices me, and I would probably give up a lot for him. I think the Dodgers need to go on this deadline. I know it's like a joke you see on social media, but they're in the Shohei era. Like, they need to go all in the time where they have all of these hitters in their prime. I know maybe they'll pay the price for it later in maybe in 6 years, but if it gives you a championship or two within the first couple years of that contract, I think it's all worth it. I think I've changed my tune, and I'm curious to see. I know we had like Tim Rogers on the other day for the Weekly Rewind. I'm interested to see what some of these other Dodger fans think, because I think virtually everybody is available. I feel like they all should be available. DePaula, if you're talking about Landon Knack, I mentioned Walker Buehler. I think they need to get creative. And as a fan, to see some of the comments like Brandon Gomes made where they said, the injuries to Yamamoto and Betts as of right now aren't going to, change their ideas of, the deadline. Well, I hope that your ideas before the deadline were to get a shortstop, because clearly it's not working. And I feel like I've made my argument on that quite known on the website, just because of, all the numbers I've seen about Betts playing shortstop, the starting rotation, having some question marks there. So I just feel like they have to get, creative in trying to get some of these key players, because the deadline or the trade deadline's fast approaching. There's not that many teams that are going to be looking to sell, so you have to actually pay for some of these guys, because they're on fringe playoff teams, because everybody's in the playoff contention. I don't know if you guys have seen the NL wild card, but there's like 8 teams that are within a game of that third wild card spot. And if they feel like they can go and get somebody to just get them, 82 wins and make the playoffs, they're not going to sell their assets that they have. So maybe the Dodgers just take the conservative approach, do minimal trades, and then just go into the postseason like they did last year, where they just fixed it enough to get them to the postseason. And hey, we're in, and maybe we can just win the tournament, because that's kind of the way it is right now.
Why do I feel like I'm going to hear this speech? Well, they're just, not that many teams were selling. There just wasn't much out there for us, but, we're getting some players back, and that feels like trade acquisitions to us. That's what I feel.
They already said that.
You're getting Kershaw back. You're getting Yamamoto possibly back, right? You're getting Dustin May possibly back.
Oh, what? Look, we just saw what's happening with Buehler. What makes you believe that even if Dustin May comes back, he's going to be effective, considering what we're seeing with Buehler?
I'm just telling you what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you we're getting May back, we're getting Kershaw back. Those seem like trades.
We can see through everything now. I think last year was the last year we were going to take that type of answer. I think this year, when they say, that's why when Roberts is like, well, we don't expect it to be season ending for Yamamoto, I was like, it's season ending. That's probably what we're going to start to hear.
Look, on Sunday, I gave Roberts an out, man. I asked him, I said, okay, how long does it take to truly know a player? Because things can change. You guys are going to be discovering things. Because let me tell you, the look on everybody's face in the dugout when Roberts came out and said it's a strained rotator cuff, I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card from Saturday when you guys were told there was tightness in his tricep. So are the Dodgers out there like on purpose lying? No. But the same thing with Muncy when he comes on and they tell us, oh, it's going to be 10 days. It's an oblique strain, bro. Like, who comes back from an oblique strain in 10 days? Like, you don't have to sit there and give it a time frame. You can say, you know what? In 10 days, we're going to look at it again. Meanwhile, you got Muncy doing every show interviewing, telling everybody, I'm not progressing. I'm not progressing. The problem is after the offseason that you had, where you won all the headlines, and every beat writer I talk to tells me it doesn't matter. They have to win the World Series. No one is going to sit there and go, oh, you guys got so many injuries. No one is going to sit there and say, hey, these guys underperformed. What they're going to say is, you signed Shohei, you signed Yamamoto. You couldn't win with that. And you had Mookie and you had Federico. Like, you have this team. And that it's fantasy baseball just doesn't seem to work. We saw it so many years with the Yankees. It's one of those things where I think roster construction is a truth. And you know something, Canelo, that you bring up, I am concerned that if this happens, no one will hold him accountable, because the one guy who always asked the tough questions in that is no longer here. He now works for ESPN as an on the East Coast. Jorge Castillo was the only one who would ask Andrew Friedman the tough questions, and then Friedman would get upset at him for Castillo asking legitimate questions. So, like, when everybody sits there and goes, and I'll take it a step further, because I said this last year in the offseason, I started pointing the finger at ownership. So if things don't work out this year and they don't do anything in the trade deadline, I think Friedman needs to be asked those questions, like you said, Canelo, but then ownership also. But ownership's not going to do anything, right? Because, you know, they don't need to face the fire like this. But then the question that's going to be asked to Andrew Friedman, and whether we're going to get an honest answer or not, is, could you have made those moves, but you weren't given the go-ahead from up above?
Yeah, and the thing that scares me is a team like the Philadelphia Phillies, they're going to be aggressive at the deadline. You know, from the beat writers that are here, they are in on Luis Robert. They are in on Garrett Crochet. They are in on these big names. Their president of baseball operations is Dave fucking Dombrowski, who is known for destroying farm systems to get his team a championship, or to at least get there. And the last team he did it with was the Red Sox. He went all in on 2018, 2017, got some key players, gave David Price that, big contract, traded for Chris Sale, signed and extended him. Those were moves that ended up making the Red Sox World Series winners in 2018 and being one of the best teams of our, pretty much of modern history, of baseball history, and especially the past 30 years. So I think the Dodgers need to take a step out of that book. I know Andrew Friedman had a famous quote that people shared on social media whenever it was like, you can't look at baseball as like a 1-year thing. You have to look at it as like a 10-year investment. And I just don't think you can do that with this season, because I know that they're going to draft and develop other guys. I know that they're going to make fancy trades and take flyers on some of these players, and they're going to end up having really good prospect depth. But when you have talent that you have on this roster right now that you may never get for the next 20 years, you got to go all in, chips in the basket right now in these next 2 to 3, this season, next season, and the year after that, because you're not going to get these 3 hitters in their prime all at the same time, probably for the rest of our lifetime. So it'll be a wasted opportunity if they don't do anything this year. And I agree with you guys. I feel like most of the Dodger fans kind of see through the bullshit now. I think they kind of know the answers that the front office is going to give. And I think a lot of fans they're already planning for a pretty, minimum trade deadline, which I think is sad for a team that has so much excitement as we did going into the season. Shouldn't they be trying everything in their power to do that? And until they do that, we're going to be talking and thinking the same way, which is why I've been saying the way that they can wake fans up is if they pull off a trade like they did in 2021, get a 2-for-1, get a shortstop, get a starting pitcher, blow, the MLB social media off the rails, because I'm telling you guys, when vibes were really high was 2021 when they made that trade for Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, because not only did it show that they were fully invested for that season, bearing everything that happened, off the field and injuries, but it showed that they were prepared for the next season, and then they ended up using Trey Turner to win 111 games. So that's pretty much what they have to do at this deadline.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap things up. Roger, you want to give away the jersey?
Did anybody else sign up that I do not have down? I only have
All right,
3.
last call. Who signed up on autograph? Let it in because Babyface is going to give away the jersey.
You got a green chance. There's only 3 people in that drawing right now. So you hit that link. Here it is. Sign up. Let me know. And
you know what, Dark Saints? I do, because I do agree. This one made me laugh, so I am going to read this comment. And that is, he hit Babyface highlighted it for me. Mitch White and JD Davis will be Dodgers. Absolutely. That's what we're going to get, because they're
Mitch
waiting
White,
for these
I'll
people.
take Mitch White, greatest number 66 in Dodgers history, right?
Oh, here we go. Here we go again. All right, here we go. Last call. You're going to give it away now?
Anybody else? Last call. Let me go ahead and randomize these 3.
All right. Babyface is going to announce the winner. Let's get a drum roll.
And the patron saint, Jose Ayala.
Hey, Jose Ayala. All right. Jose Ayala, you are the winner of the Joe Kelly replica jersey giveaway. Make sure, Babyface, you'll reach out to Jose. I'm sure you guys are on speed dial.
Yeah, Jose, yeah, just hit me up on the podcast DM. Make sure I got your info correct.
Absolutely. Look, correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't seem like there were that many strays in the chat, so I don't know if we have a Danny Duffy Award winner. Help me out here, guys.
Carlos,
should we give Carlos? Yeah. Should we give Carlos? Carlos the Gambler. Let's give Carlos the Gambler. All right. He wins his first Danny Duffy Award. Congratulations, Carlos. You win your first Danny Duffy Award because you didn't pay your internet bill. So that's going to do it. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. We got a lot of content on there. We're dropping Babyface was in Rancho talking to Kershaw. We also had Babyface interviewed Steven Nelson. We got a lot of content on there. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Obviously, when the Dodgers are home, we have pregame and postgame coverage for you guys on the YouTube channel. Canelo, what do you want to plug on Dodgers Beat?
I mean, yeah, we're all pumping all the writers. They're contributing, especially this week with a lot of news in terms of the injuries, Kershaw rehabbing. And if I had to highlight a couple pieces, Steve Webb wrote a nice piece about, Willie Mays and the times that he could have potentially became a Dodger. I think with everything that's going on, especially the game that the Giants and Cardinals played today, that would be an awesome read. But other than that, if you're looking for more, in-depth stats on Buehler, I wrote a piece that kind of went in through all of his starts this year, comparing numbers from his previous year. And then kind of just looking at the front office, there's going to be a lot of trade stuff talking around soon. And I like to kind of go around the realistic route and trying to find some realistic trades, not all the jargon we're seeing on social media where people are saying we're going to get Mike Trout like they did in the offseason. So, but definitely be on the lookout for that over the next couple weeks.
There you have it, guys. Thanks.
I saw that article by Stephen Webb. I never knew that Willie Mays could have been a Dodger. That pisses me off. We could have had Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente.
Yeah, the Dodgers could have had the Dodgers. I mean, that's the history of that organization. They could have had a lot of studs on there. Real quick before we sign off, I know we didn't get a chance to talk about the Gigantes and the Cardinals playing today, and of course Willie Mays passing away. What I find fascinating, of course, I didn't see Willie Mays play, but I feel like it was the consensus I kept hearing this past week that he is the greatest baseball player of all time. Were you guys hearing this same thing?
Yeah, and I think what goes a long way is, when I read an article where it was pretty much going over like how, Vin Scully, for the amount of years that he's covered baseball, the amount of years that he's done stuff, he grew up a Giants fan. A lot of people don't know that because he called the Dodgers games for so long, but he said Willie Mays was like the best player he ever laid his eyes on. And there's a good reason. If you definitely look into his stats, for a player to be as good as he was offensively, but also take it to another level defensively, there is an argument to be made. It's harder because, like Juan, like you said, obviously he played before all of our time. So it's hard to kind of put a gauge on that to see how good of a player he was. But I would definitely believe it. I would definitely take Vin Scully at his word for saying that he is probably maybe one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah, I think it's always just tough, right, to sit there, because now every time I hear, like, Mookie Betts hits a leadoff home run, in my mind, I'm just like, yeah, dude, but Ricky Henderson, I don't know, this might be blasphemous, but I think the Ricky was probably better than Mookie, but Mookie's career is not over. So
I think Barry Bonds is the best baseball player of all time. So
there we go. We had there. So it is fascinating, that conversation, but you're right. I mean, Vin Scully was the greatest historian that we ever had because he saw all these guys. But yeah, babyface, could you imagine if the Dodgers had Clemente, then they had Mays? I mean, how crazy it would be.
Yeah, that would have been incredible outfield. I mean, obviously, like you said, I never saw Willie Mays play, but just that one image that's always ingrained in your mind, right? Just watching historical stuff is that catch, right? That over the catch.
Yeah.
The over the shoulder catch that he makes, right? Incredible catch. But I mean, like you said, and I posted this too. Vin Scully said this was his favorite player, the greatest player he ever saw. Like, what more do you want, right? Vin Scully has seen so much baseball in his life, and he said Willie Mays, that's the dude. So
660 home runs, the 300 batting average, 300 stolen bases. The Barry Bonds, and that's what's just so frustrating about Barry Bonds is I don't think he needed it, man. I don't think he needed to take the juice. I mean, he was already great. And Ken Griffey Jr., Michael, is a guy that, man, and see, the thing is with Ken Griffey Jr., I feel like he aged naturally. Like when he went to the Reds and he started getting injured, like I feel like those are normal injuries that you got when you would advance in age. Man, if that dude stayed healthy, what could he have done? Like, what would his numbers ended up being like?
And I know this is recency bias, but I firmly believe, just because when I was growing up and kind of seeing the way his career's been, if Mike Trout didn't have the injury history that he has, especially in his latter half of career, I think he probably would have rivaled the amount of MVPs Barry Bonds got. I think he probably would have dominated the American League for that. I'd say maybe even 6, because there was a couple MVP awards that he should have won that he didn't win, like in 2012 or 2013 against Miguel Cabrera. So you could have argued that Trout should have won the MVP when he was a rookie, which I don't think that's ever been done before.
You know what?
At least in baseball, it hasn't, because I know the one dude on the Bulls did it in the NBA. So,
for some reason, Cal Ripken was coming to mind, but I know Cal Ripken won MVP in '83, and he might have won Rookie of the Year in '82. So I don't think it was in the same season. But yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that it is just a fascinating question. To your Trout comment, Canelo, when Trout hit the scene, when he hit Major League Baseball, all I ever heard were people were comparing that dude to Mickey Mantle. And the thing is, what's amazing about Mickey Mantle is Mickey Mantle had a Hall of Fame career, and all I ever hear is that Mickey Mantle did it on one leg. Like, could you imagine if Mickey Mantle had like 2 healthy legs, like what his career would look like? So when a guy is being compared to a Hall of Famer like that, yeah, I think you have to pay attention and be like, oh, so he's the only comp? So it's a fascinating question. There is no right or wrong answer there. But again, I want to thank you guys for joining us on the live. As you can see, we're here every week, and we'd love your engaging with you guys and with your comments. And please congratulate Carlos again. Yeah, Roy Estrada, Ted Williams is another one. It's just fascinating. There's so many people that you can go out there and name. Dave Luna, you're right up my alley. No one I love Ichiro. Ichiro is, to me, is up there. Probably the only one above Ichiro is Tony Gwynn for me, but Ichiro and Tony Gwynn are up there like that. So anyways, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube, and you guys have any last words?
Yeah. Dave Luna was right. Ichiro did win MVP when he was a rookie. So,
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, we'll get out of here. This episode of the Bleed Lows podcast has been brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. Nos vemos.